Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to our webinar for The Strangest Year, a question and answer session with members of the CAT Youth Theatre. This is a first in CAT Youth Theatre history. Half of us have never met each other in person, and half of the cast joined us this past year and have never actually been to a physical CAT Youth Theatre session. Perhaps you could just start, folks, by talking a little bit about what the process was.
Honestly, the process of this was fully collaborative, which I think is something interesting that you don't always get when you're making a project, because sometimes you're just given a script and said, roll with it. But we actually got to create pieces about issues that we care about and issues that we are passionate about and show our points of view on them.
And it was all of our ideas put into one. It was a lot of long hours of staring at a Zoom screen. It was a lot of hours with messing with Snap camera and filters and Zoom filters. It was a very worth it process because not only did we put on this amazing show for you guys, but also we got closer as an ensemble together.
It was really worth it. We've been working on this show for about 2 months, and just we had our own ideas, and the fact that we were able to connect even though we were not all in the same room is just so powerful and something that we don't see on a normal basis when we think about theater. So I'm very proud of everybody.
As somebody who's never met any of the other youth theater participants, I just felt so accepted, and we had to try even harder to go above what we had already established for ourselves, because we weren't there physically.
Compared to the process of being in person and doing CAT and doing CAT and Zoom, it hasn't really changed. It's just the matter of getting all your creativity and compacting it in a way that you can show it through screen. It's a way of I'm using what we have around here, like this pen I found, or some sunglasses for a prop, and using that as opposed to getting some prop director to get it. It's only different in that sense. The creativity hasn't changed.
Also derives from the immersion that you get from filming at home as well. It wasn't really necessarily that hard. I mean, we were displaying things that were not only just personal to us, but to a lot of people around the world. And a lot of that revolves around being home.
There's just so many more opportunities and new aspects of theater that we never have been able to go to before. We were able to use cool camera settings and different lighting and different cameras, and use random things in our house and make an amazing thing out of it. And we did it together, and it was just amazing, the ideas that we were able to come up with at home and working together.
It's this weird thing about sitting at home is that lines are completely blurred between school and work and sleep and awake, and you're doing everything in your living room or your dining room. It makes for this really weird intimacy that you don't get in the theater with set walls and boundaries.
The process of creating this was super, super different. A lot of the times the audio would be off, or there'd be a visual glitch that would make it look bad. So there'd have to be a bunch of takes to really get the right one. I know in my group, my computer was having an audio issue, and I had to put my head at a certain angle next to the computer to be able to get the right audio for the thing.
I think one of the craziest challenges for me was having my parents kind of look into my theater life and just being wow, so this is what my son does at CAT Youth Theater. And it was kind of just oh my gosh, my son is banging a pot in his room. My son is looking for a box. What? The things that you would normally not hear from a 16-year-old child.
The most challenging for me is the privacy wise. My house is pretty small, and I live with 4 other people. And every time I need quiet, it can be very difficult.
We started with doing individual skits each day. We'd come up with the concept, and then we'd perform it. And these scenes ended up, a lot of the time, since in our space and in our situation, they ended up being, of course, about 2020 and COVID, this situation we are in right now.
What is relevant to us? What is something that we feel like people would not only want to listen to and watch, but what is also something that we personally care about?
We wanted to talk about how a person hides themselves and like the facade or like the personas we put on. But we ended up talking about LGBTQ community, how it's affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and everything. And it's just such a natural process, how we start off with a very different thing, but we like a natural way, like we flow, and it's such a great experience.
I think most of the things that we put in our scenes were true to our heart. And, I think it's very hard to see, very crazy things happening in the world around you, like, the Black Lives Matter protests, politics into the media. I think that it's very hard to see that in the world and not put it into your film, especially when you have a creative space like this where everyone's, saying yes to your ideas and, making sure you feel welcome and, wanting to create any piece that you have. We want to change the world. I think if enough people see this piece, they'll be made more conscious of the ideas that LGBTQ people face, Asian people face due to the discrimination they're facing. And, Black Lives Matter.
With the news scene, you saw what's put out in media, but also you saw like misinformation or how certain people are represented in the media. And I feel like that all just connects so vividly. Hearing everyone's perspectives talk in each scene and everyone sharing their experiences, building these ideas was just absolutely powerful.
We wanted to open up the doors for people and we wanted to make people feel welcome. We wanted to make it a home for people. And we've all managed to create this beautiful community where we all are still ourselves, even though we're looking at a Zoom screen.
We started making scenes and stuff. You can't help but like become a family with these people that have these shared interests. It was just, I was like worried in the beginning. I was like, all these amazing people, I'm not even gonna get to know them. Wrong. I got to know them and we instant family as per usual, as Cat, per usual, instant family.
I mean, we build every year. There are people who stay and people who go, and there's always the new people, and we're really accepting towards them. I think that's a good way to build a community because you already have the roots and it's easy to add people.
I also feel like the motto that Kat always brings, which is why I know for a fact why I joined this program, is that there's nothing labeled as a bad idea in this program. Ideas flourish naturally and continuously, and we never ever judge an idea. We always try to find a way to incorporate it or to adapt it to what we're trying to explain or say to an audience. And I will always be thankful for this program for that, because that's hard to find, to be very honest with you.
I saw somebody in the chat say, we're so over Zoom. I agree with that. But honestly, coming here to CAT meetings didn't even feel like Zoom. It just felt like meeting people. And I feel like that's so rare and it was so appreciated.
I had done like a few other classes on Zoom, and most of them are like super awkward. Everybody has their cameras off. The teacher can't get anybody to say anything. But you guys, like, this was actually super interesting, and like the people were engaged.
Back at the summer program, I kind of realized that this was just like an amazing place.
So many new people coming in, and then there was the people who had already started in the youth theater who I guess were, already skeptical about coming onto Zoom. But, all of us coming on into this like chaotic and like honestly just like super duper fun activity, and just putting our all into that and seeing how our energies merged with each other. It was like, I can't even put it into words. It was just great. And those memories will always stick with me.
Let me run free. Thank you so much, everybody. I think at this point we should wish everybody a very, very good night, and thank you all so much for your support.
Everybody,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you
so much.
for coming.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, thanks, guys.
Thank you for the wonderful feedback too.